Today's review is Schindler's List. This is a great film from a great director. Of course, it won 1993's Academy Award for Best Picture. Plenty of other awards it was given, including Best Director for Steven Spielberg. This was the first Best Director award that he won, and it was definitely rightly so for this project. Certainly, it is one of the great movies, and one of the movies that's kind of causes us to think about how film can transcend something more than entertainment. It can provoke serious thought and reflection on life and things of the past and horrible atrocities of the past, such as the Holocaust. And pretty much, kind of why Spielberg said he did the movie, at least one of the reasons why is, as a reminder that something like this should never happen again. Which is important, and it is an important movie that it doesn't flinch in showing the horrible things that happened during the Holocaust. This is just one story, so times it by a million of the horrible things that has happened. But this is almost too much. This is not an easy movie to watch. It's definitely an emotionally devastating and exhausting film, but it is a great one, and it is an interesting story in particular. It is based on the true story of Oskar Schindler and what he did. It was a known story. So it was something that they had kind of lobbied around to make into a movie. So they wanted to tell this story, this specific story. And I know other directors were approached to do it before Spielberg was. Like, I know Martin Scorsese, I think, was approached to do it. He declined. He said, it should be done by a Jewish director. Scorsese being Italian, of course. Stanley Kubrick, I believe, was approached to do it as well. But I do believe that kind of the stars aligned sort of to have Spielberg tackle the project. Of course, being Jewish himself, even if no point in his family history was he affected by the Holocaust at all. Being Jewish is definitely something that is a very personal thing. It's definitely a very dark period of history where you don't kind of want to shed a light on it. You don't want to get a bunch of actors together and recreate these horrible things. It's a difficult thing to do, but as I mentioned, Spielberg did kind of want to finally do it because just to tell this story that so nothing like this happens again. And ultimately it is a positive movie about goodness that you can find, but there's no shades of black and white when it comes to goodness. The Oskar Schindler character, played by Liam Neeson, who is absolutely incredible in his role. He was nominated for an Oscar, he didn't win, but this is the best role he's ever done by far. In my opinion, a truly complex character and a truly complex portrayal, and one done with respect of kind of an unlikely hero. But at the same time, they don't portray Schindler as this, wonderful person, this beacon of hope. Basically, he is a war profiteer, and he is a flawed man. He cheats on his wife. He, is a penny pincher. He's, not the best role model, I guess, but he certainly has his charms, and he certainly has, something within him that, drives him to do goodness in a time where there's just absolute insanity. Where under Adolf Hitler's regime, you just had to go with it, basically. And that's kind of what he does. And kind of the interesting thing about the character is how he is almost like lying to himself. I need these specific workers to do these specific things. I need these little kids here to, they have little hands to help clean. And so, he's lying and lying to himself until finally it reaches that final scene, that heartbreaking final scene, where I could have saved more. I could have saved more. This ring could have been one more life. Where he finally breaks down and kind of admits what he was doing. So there's a goodness to the character, and they don't portray him as an absolutely flawless person, which I think is important because there is good and bad in everybody, which I think they also kind of established through the Amon Goth character. played by Ray Fiennes. So it is kind of the dynamic between Schindler and Goth, because there is kind of like a yin and yang thing going with the two characters. You look at the Goth character, and he is just pure evil. He represents everything that was wrong with the mindset of people of the time, and it was kind of a day-to-day evil where it seemed regular. It seemed like something that was appropriate to do, to kill these inferior race, basically. And that was kind of the mindset that just fell before a whole nation, basically. And with the Goth character, I mean, you do feel that there is something inside him that is struggling with this evil, this absolute evil. And it's an incredibly complex performance on the opposite side of things by Ray Fiennes. So I think the two performances by Liam Neeson and Ray Fiennes bring just an absolute sense of authenticity to this story, and to what the mindset must have been of people at the time as outsiders from the Holocaust. I mean, they're sitting pretty much pretty in their situation. So it is interesting to see that, and the complexities of the characters, and how there is good in bad people, and there is bad in good people. So I think it establishes that well. But with the Jewish characters, it's a whole different story, and they are able to establish that well, particularly with Ben Kingsley's character, Ishtak Stern is his character's name. He's the accountant of Schindler. I think he delivers a fantastic performance. Ben Kingsley, he's just incredible, and this was kind of one of the roles that sort of began a resurgence in his career after Gandhi. Like there was kind of like Bugsy, and there was this, and after that, I mean, he's just consistently remained one of the best actors working, and this is a very beautiful performance and an understated performance from him. So I'm actually surprised that he didn't get any Oscar attention, though Ray Fiennes did, and rightly so, because Ray Fiennes was brilliant. So if I had to choose one performance that was better over than the other, I mean, definitely the more difficult role is through Fiennes, I think, in all fairness. But, I mean, yeah, there's some absolutely devastating sections of this movie that are hard to watch. But, because of the hope of the movie, and because of, this character's journey in, kind of revealing himself to himself, and finally realizing what he was doing for the Jewish people during the Holocaust. It's again, with any movie that's somewhat based on a true story, you can poke holes in this, whatever, say this isn't happening, whatever. But the line of the movie, this list is life. There will be generations because of what you did. So I think it's very moving. And, one of the best parts of the movie, I think, is with the list. At the very end, because well, for one thing, I think when they do kind of the ending title cards, that kind of give a summation of Schindler. They say how his how many people are descendants of Schindler Jews, and how it is absolutely true that there are generations because of what he did. And the one part that really moves me is how they planted the tree in the garden of righteousness, and it says it grows there still, and that's something. I mean, it's a testament to the movie, and further testament of this movie, doing its transcendence. From this is a film, but this is not fiction. So with that last scene where it is in color, and you see the actors with their real life counterparts, or descendants or relatives of their counterparts. It serves as a reminder that this we weren't watching a made up drama. We were watching a portrayal of an area of history that did occur, and it is a hopeful movie in that sense, where it is in the past, but it's something that should always be remembered, very much because it should not happen again. It's a horrible, absolutely horrible thing. It is an emotionally devastating movie, but it is a great movie. So I'm getting bummed out doing this review. So I mean, I can't really say anything else that no one else has said before, just to sing praise for the movie, because it is a great film, and again, it does provoke genuine, reflection, which I think is important when it comes to movies. So this is absolutely one of the great movies, I think, and it absolutely deserved the Academy Award, and it's very moving, and I don't think it takes any cheap shots. I know sometimes, with Spielberg, his movies can get a little too schmaltzy, a little too over the top, but I think, with the focus and respect that he wanted to give this particular story, and the complexity of the story, and the complexity of the character, and the gravity of the horrible, horrible time in history. I mean, definitely it was something that he was able to avoid, and I think honestly, it's definitely one of Spielberg's best films. Definitely, probably in like the top three Steven Spielberg films. Just a great piece of filmmaking, and one that's going to last forever. This movie, and while it's hard to watch, I do think it's an important movie, and not too many movies you can say it is important that you view it at least once. This is one of those movies, and it's one of the greats, and I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. So that's my review of Schindler's List, and thank you for watching.